ask me any questions you want while we're doing this short drive.
Okay.
Yes, no wonder I can't see my eyes. It's because I haven't adjusted my seat yet, so I'll do that before I look at the mirrors. The mirrors are good enough, head restraint's good enough, steering wheel I can live with that, that's okay. So we'll start up, we'll switch off the music, and put the wipers on. Not fussed about the rear wiper, don't know what's happening over there. Keep it nice and slow, just using the clutch. The main thing I think we could work on, because I don't think we'll have a lot of work to do with reversing windows. I think the spatial awareness is top notch, really good for that. It's trying to avoid using the foot brake. I know from driving automatics, if you feel that you're going to be paused for more than a handful of seconds, let me just think where the toilets are. Yes, there's one over there in mother care. So here, for example, if I thought I was going to need to wait, once I brought the car to a stop with the foot brake, I'd go for the handbrake, and then I would straight away move my right foot over to the gas, and it means that I can get on to adding gas nice and early. Moving out there. Busy day at the retail park. Probably not really sunny anymore, so I'll move that out of the way for the moment. Looking out for any pedestrians near the crossing. Mini roundabout coming up. We're going to turn right, pedestrian in the road. Running with his screwdrivers. So I'm going to go right, so we'll let everybody else know. That car's not signalling, but make sure it's going straight ahead before I move onto the junction. Watch out for the red one. Grey one's turning around behind me. Use a left signal just to make absolutely sure everybody knows where I'm going. Car parks are fairly dangerous places. You've got lots of pedestrians by definition, and lots of blocked vision, and not many spaces, it would appear. I saw them crossing the road a moment ago. Okay, so there's one space there, another space there. Let's see if I can get you a bit closer. There's one there. Can't see. It looks like there's one at the end there. There's certainly two there, so we'll go into those. There's one there. Okie dokie. In fact, I'll back up. I'll go into that one behind, and then you can drive us out of the car park. So this is a bay park. Glancing around, checking up on the grey car, making sure I'm comfortable with the space on both sides. I don't need to get out, so I'm happy to be closer to the car on this side. Got a brick wall behind me, so nobody's going to be turning up from behind. The driver, if there is one in this car, there isn't at the moment. They're not going to be able to get in, but I can always shift it if they turn up. And you've got plenty of room to open your door. Okay, you're very welcome. Anything you want me to talk about on camera while you're gone? About the area?
If you can do like the
controls,
and
yeah,
and
sure,
stuff,
I'll do that. Yep,
Thank
no problem.
you.
Okay. Okay, Catherine, so controls. We've got two big dials in front of us. We've got, on the left in this particular car, Peugeot 208, we've got a big dial indicating engine speed, and on the right we've got road speed. Two white needles which will flick over whenever you turn the ignition on, in order to do a self-test to make sure that those needles are flowing freely. At the same time, lots of amber and red lights will come on again to do a self-test. Engine speed will increase whenever the sound of the engine gets louder. The engine is running faster, it's been given more fuel, that's why it is moving faster. And that needle will go up if you stay in one gear, and then when you change to a higher gear it will drop down because the engine speed is reducing. The engine's being given an easier job to do, a calmer time of it. And when it gets down below about 1000, that's when the clutch needs to go down to disconnect the engine, otherwise the car will stall. It will only stall at about 600 revolutions per minute. The figures here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, are marked in thousands of revolutions per minute. A smaller dial to the left of that is the temperature of the engine oil. If that gets into the red zone, then you know it's time to stop and check the oil, because you may have too little oil in the engine, keeping the engine well lubricated, or you may have run out of engine coolant. And both how you would check the engine oil and how you would check the coolant level are dealt with in, I think, a separate video of mine. Maybe I haven't made a video of those, but they're part of the show me tell me questions, 2 questions that you could get asked at the start of your driving test, drawn from a bank of 19 questions which are accessible from my website, both in video form and printed list form. On the right hand side of the instrument cluster you've got a fuel gauge. I am told by my younger son that the needle, when it's pointing at the full end of the fuel gauge, will tell you which side of the car the fuel filler cap is. In this car it's on the driver's side, and the needle rises up towards the right hand side. In other words, when the fuel tank is full, the needle is pointing to the right, and that's a good reminder of where which side of the petrol pumps to park. Other controls, all the lighting controls are on the left hand stalk here. We talked earlier on about the collar on the inside of this stalk, which switches on the fog lights. Front fog lights is the first twist forwards. The collar control will spring back to the neutral position. Then you can twist it a second time, it will bring on the rear fog light. The rear one is the one that the examiner is interested in on the driving test. It's a legal requirement for cars built for use in the UK, and cars will have a bright red light either on one side or on both sides at the back, much brighter than the ordinary tail lights, about as bright as the same brightness as brake lights on a car. And you should use those if the visibility is lower than 100 meters for any reason, not just fog. If there's mist or dust or heavy rain or snow, whatever is causing, or lots of spray on a motorway, whatever's causing visibility to be poor. To operate the fog lights, you would have to have some exterior lights on, so you'd have to either be in a gloomy situation, poor ambient light, with the lights set to auto so that the lights bring themselves on, or you would need to turn the end of this left hand stalk to manually switch on the dipped headlights, or in this car the side lights, to bring the fog lights on. The button on the end of that stalk does absolutely nothing in this car. It's to make the manufacture of the car cheaper, because it's an identical stalk to the one on the right hand side. The stalk on the right hand side is to do with windscreen wiper control. Pressing down puts it into auto mode, pressing down again puts it back into manual mode, moving it up one click puts it into intermittent manual wiping, one wipe every few seconds, another click up constant wiping, a third click up and it will be double speed wiping for heavy rain. If it's in auto mode, then the wipers will change their speed depending on the rainfall. If you pull that stalk towards you, you'll get a wash and a wipe of the front screen. You'll hear the motor that's driving the pump to squirt the washer fluid onto the screen working. After a few seconds and a handful of wipes, you'll get a final wipe to wipe any trickles off the screen. Twisting the knob at the end would operate the rear windscreen wiper. One click will put it onto a constant wipe speed. Twisting a little bit further will operate the pump and squirt fluid on the back, and it will then do a handful of wipes. There'll be a pause and then there'll be a final wipe. Pressing the button in on the end of the right hand stalk will change what's in the display in the middle. You'll get fuel consumption figures. You can dismiss the digital speed readout, the number in a big white digit that's displayed there, or you can get a display of what the radio channel is that you're listening to, so that you can then scroll up and down with the thumb wheel on the steering wheel and not have to take your eyes off the straight ahead direction to look at the screen that's down here. Other controls, you've got thumb wheels for telephone and volume of radio and music, and which input source you might be selecting with this SRC button, and you can choose from, if you've got a Bluetooth phone, which you can get a displayed list of telephone contacts and scroll up and down and press the OK button to select one and initiate a call. Ventilation and heating controls are all down beneath the touch screen, which is here. They haven't got anything tactile on them to help you keep looking ahead while fumbling around feeling for which button you want to press. Ford is rather better than Peugeot at having indentations and bulges on the buttons, so that you can know which button you're about to press without having to take your eyes off the road. That is about it. You've got two window controls, passenger window and driver's window's marked with an A on the switch, so that you can give it a firm press and bring your hand back up to the wheel. The window will carry on operating on its own until you give it a little pull or a press in the opposite direction from the way you've firmly operated it before, and that will pause its motion. And I think that's it to do with all the controls. Catherine is back in the car. You can probably see her shoulder on the recording in case anybody else watches this particular video. Shall we swap over?
Yes.
And then I'll remind myself how much time we've got left to get back to Shirley, as well as taking in some bigger roundabouts. Okie dokie, I'll switch that off.